A very good morning to one and all. My name is Daniel, the LSDP captain for the year 21 to 22, and me and my team are proud to present that the LSDP is working hand in hand with the Environment Council to bring you all the Sustainable Development Goals module, or the SDG module for short. Now, the team comprises of myself, Ayush, the deputy head boy for the year, Siddharth, the environmental captain for the year, and three arduous team leads, Ayush, Abhishek, Aryan, and Vaibhav. So before we proceed any further, let us invoke God's blessings. I'd like to call upon Vaibhav for this.
Thank you, Daniel. Let us begin today's assembly by invoking God's blessings, requesting you all to bow your heads in prayer. Almighty God, we thank you for giving us a new day. Shower your blessings on the ruler of this land and his family, on our fellow men, our country, and our school. Enlighten our minds to do always what is righteous in your sight. Strengthen our bodies so that we will do our best in the day's work. Forgive us if we should do wrong and grant us the courage to begin anew. Protect us from danger and keep us in your loving care today and always. I would now like to hand the floor over back to Daniel. Over to you, Daniel.
Thank you, Vaibhav, for that short and sweet prayer. So now I will introduce the aims for this briefing session. So first of all, the goals for this session is that it aims to make you all, the students, SDG champions. What does that mean? It means that you all will be aware of what the SDGs are. You will promote them and you will incorporate them in your daily life by doing small steps that will help implement these goals. Secondly, we want to inculcate a more sustainable oriented sort of mindset in all of you so that you will all work towards the bettering of our planet. And third of all, we would so those are the two goals we'll have for this session. Now I would like to brief on the history of what SDGs are, because I'm sure that many of you are aware of the term SDGs, but I'll brief you the history, what is it and why do we need SDGs. So SDGs was introduced in the United Nations General Assembly back in September 2015 as the core for the 2030 UN agenda. These goals aim to eradicate deprivation such as poverty and to help spur economic growth alongside helping our planet recuperate from the damage that we, the humans, have done to it. So why do we need SDGs when there are so many other similar initiatives? Well, unlike their predecessors, these SDGs are universal. What does that mean? It means that all sorts of countries, actors, and even we, the people, should play a part to implement them. And secondly, even companies are called upon to implement sustainable solutions through initiatives such as Impact 2030 and Businesses Challenge. Now, I'd like to call upon Abhishek to explain the first 5 SDGs.
What is the first thing that enters your mind when I say a better future? For many of you, it will be no poverty. And it's the very first thing that enters our minds when we speak of hope for the future. No poverty. Our SDG 1 is to end poverty in all its forms, everywhere. The removal of poverty from everywhere will ensure that all in the future are provided equal opportunities. Yet today, it remains one of the greatest challenges plaguing humanity. While the number of people living in extreme poverty dropped by more than half between 1990 and 2015, too many are still struggling for the most basic of human needs. Many lack food, clean drinking water, and sanitation. And in 2020 alone, 71 million plus people were pushed into extreme poverty. A sustainable development is not for the 1% of the population, it is for the 100% of the population. SDG makes a bold and much needed commitment to end poverty in all its forms and dimensions by 2030. This involves targeting the most vulnerable, increasing basic resources and services, and supporting communities affected by conflict and climate-related disasters. if I ask you the most important need in life, more than half of you would answer food, and rightly so. The next goal is zero hunger, with the mission statement end hunger, achieve food security, and improve nutrition, and promote sustainable agriculture. And it is not a great chart for that humanity that globally 1 in 9 people are undernourished, the vast majority of whom live in developing countries. The pandemic is an additional threat to the food systems, bringing food insecurity on the rise. The SDG aims to end all forms of hunger and malnutrition by 2030, making sure all people, especially children, have sufficient and nutritious food all year. And naturally build upon the previous two SDGs. SDG 3 is to ensure healthy lives and promote well-being for all ages. The world is off track to achieve health-related SDGs. Progress has been uneven both between and within countries. There is a 31-year gap between the countries with the shortest and longest life expectancies. While some countries have made impressive gains, national averages hide that many are being left behind. And COVID-19 healthcare disruptions could reverse decades of improvements. And when less than half the global population is covered by the essential health services, SDG 3, with 13 targets, must be a strong priority in the years to come and days to come. As important as needs are, opportunities to provide those needs are doubly so. And these opportunities is brought on by education. And the SDG 4 is to ensure inclusive and equitable quality education and promote lifelong opportunities for all. Achieving inclusive and quality education for all reaffirms the belief that education is one of the most powerful and proven vehicles for sustainable development. Yet the progress has been slow, and the pandemic kept 90% of all students out of school, reversing years of progress on education. This goal is to ensure that all boys and girls complete free primary and secondary education by 2030. It also aims to provide equal access to affordable vocational training, eliminate gender and wealth disparities, achieve access to a quality higher education universally. We pledge to leave no one behind. Countries have committed to fast track progress for those furthest behind. SDG 5 is to grant women and girls equal rights, opportunities to live free without discrimination, including workplace discrimination or any violence. This is to ensure gender equality and empower all women and girls. Ending all discrimination against women and girls is not only a basic human right, it is crucial for a sustainable future. It is proven that empowering women and girls help economic growth and development, and thus it is vital to achieve gender equality across all fields. Today, there are more women in public office than ever before, but encouraging more women leaders will achieve greater gender equality. And as Achim Steiner noted, every small action matters, because when 7 billion people do that thing, it changes the world. And for a change to begin in the world, we need a change in our individual actions. And with that, I give the floor to Aryan Gupta to speak on the next 6 SDG goals.
Good morning, all, and I'll be briefing from SDG Goals 6 to 11. We never know the worth of water until the well is dry, as stated by Thomas Fuller. And that's quite a relatable quote for me because I know that when I don't get to quench my thirst, I just cannot be me. My mouth is equivalent of an arid desert when I don't get that. Let me put it this way: I cannot progress until I get my daily dose of H2O. But that is exactly the plight of many around the world. And just to address that, we have the first goal: clean water and sanitation. The goal statement is to ensure availability and sustainable management of water and sanitation for all. Safe and affordable drinking water for all by the year 2030 requires that we invest in adequate infrastructure. We provide sanitation facilities and encourage hygiene, basically continuing the measures we take against COVID. Protecting and restoring water related ecosystems is essential for this improvement as well. But do you exactly know the number of people involved in order to get their basic of the needs satisfied? 800 million. Yes. Ensuring universal, safe, and affordable drinking water involves reaching over 800 million people who lack the basic of the services. Moreover, improving accessibility and safety of services for over 2 billion more people across the globe is another homework that we have got. Moving on to the next goal, a transition to clean energy is about making an investment in our future, as stated by Gloria Rubin. The goal statement for SDG 7 is to ensure access to affordable, reliable, sustainable, and modern energy for all. I can't imagine a day without any power. No, I don't mean the one political, or I don't mean the one in my biceps, but the one which keeps this device I'm briefing you all on running. But all this power comes at a cost. Just as how with great power comes great responsibility, your great power comes with great costs. But to understand these immense costs and why they pose such an impact, the SDG 7 is right here for you. Between 2000 and 2018, the number of people with electricity increased from 78 to 90%. That's an amazing increment. And the numbers without electricity dipped to 789 million. Yet, as the population continues to grow, so will the demand for cheaper energy. And an economy reliant on fossil fuels is creating drastic changes to what? Well, right there on our climate. I mean, I don't want to see myself waking up to a cloud of smog or toxic substances in the air. Who doesn't, right? Investing in solar, wind, and thermal power improves energy productivity. Expanding infrastructure and upgrading technology to provide clean and more efficient energy in all countries will not only just encourage growth, but also help the environment as well. Like they say, with great cleanliness comes great happiness. Wait, do they say that? A cool fact, a single wind turbine can power thousands of homes. Portugal powered their entire country running on renewable energy alone, a great example for all nations to follow, when in 2016, Portugal powered their entire nation for 4 consecutive days through a combination of wind, solar, and hydro generated electricity. This 107-hour run marked a milestone in Portugal's clean energy run to meet the European Union's renewable targets for the year 2020, which is past. Anyway, proceeding to our next goal, decent work and economic growth. Political economy or economics is the study of mankind in the ordinary business of life, as stated by Alfred Marshall. So, as you know, the goal statement of SDG 8 is sustained, inclusive, and sustainable economic growth, full and productive employment, and decent work for all. I think the economy is like a flowing river. It has twists and turns, yet it is bound to flow towards the ocean. In this river, who do you think sails the boats? How many boats are there? How do we ensure that this boat won't sink? These are the kind of questions which come up when we talk about the economy. How is it doing? What is the scope for development? Is it a balanced one? Well, just to give an outlook on these characteristics of an economy, we have the eighth SDG. SDG 8 has 12 targets in total, which are to be achieved by the year 2030. The first 10 are something known as outcome targets. These are promotional goals. What are these promotional goals? We have such like promoting policies to support job creation and growing enterprises, promoting youth employment, education and training, and promoting policies to support further job creation. But the real question remains, how do we exactly achieve these? Increasing aid for trade support and developing a global youth employment strategy, which basically fosters increase in opportunities and jobs for the younger generation. Oh, wait. I can sense that optimistic feeling of of having been able to get a job. Wow. Anyway, goal 9, industry, innovation, and infrastructure. Never before in history has innovation offered promise of so much to so many in so short a time, as quoted by the one and only Bill Gates. Industry, innovation, and infrastructure, the three I's. Will they do sound a lot alike? But whoa, wait. What if we made a goal that interconnects these three and gives us the combined benefit? Well, here is one, and that is to build resilient infrastructure, promoting inclusive and sustainable industrialization, and to foster innovation. This goal is to be achieved once again by the year 2030, and it has 8 targets, and progress is measured by 12 indicators. The first 5 targets are outcome targets. We come across this term again, but wait, what exactly are outcome targets? Outcome targets primarily have their focus towards the development and result we get out of on working on these goals. So, developing sustainable, resilient, and inclusive infrastructures is extremely essential considering the fast paced 21st century progress and keeping in mind the vision of countries and communities globally. From transportation to administration, this goal is key to unlocking the very potential behind these areas. In fact, according to the UNESCO Institute for Statistics, 80% of the worldwide spending on research and development is split between 10 countries, reaching a high of 1.7 trillion United States dollars. Amazing. But again, so much creative innovation, so many industries, and developing infrastructure. We must find a way to be achieved and also aligning themselves with the best interests and vision of the countries and communities on our planet. Perhaps facilitating sustainable infrastructure development for developing countries, supporting domestic technology and industrial diversification, and universal access to information and communications technology or information technology are ways to race towards this goal. Coming to goal 10, reduce inequalities. It is a wise man who said that there is no greater inequality than the equal treatment of unequals, as stated by Felix Frankfurter. Let's take money. Money, yes, money. If you ask anyone on the street about how money can impact their lives, you would receive an answer that literally sums up their life. This exactly represents the value of money in the world, along with our survival instinct. To survive in this world with that money. But what if I didn't have this magic wand, which we call money, with us? Or perhaps enough of it? How do we decide who gets how much and whether that is fairly equal or not? Questions, questions, and questions. Let's bring that goal and break all of them down. SDG 10 is to reduce income inequality within and among countries. This goal has 10 targets to be achieved by the year 2030. The first 7 targets are once again outcome targets. Reducing disparities among communities and organizations can possibly decrease income inequalities, as we took earlier. Promoting universal social, economic, and political inclusion are some prominent targets of this goal. Oh, wait. Did I just give these strategies? Let's look at the ways to implement them as well. Special and differential treatment for developing countries ensure that they get their needed attention. Encouraging development assistance and investment in least developed countries adds to their GDP and their overall economic growth. Reducing transaction costs for migrant remittances. Now, migrant remittances might seem like a big word, but just to break it down, what exactly are they? These are non commercial transfers of money by a foreign worker or a citizen with families abroad for household income in their homelands. But if you notice one thing, I mainly emphasized on money. I mainly emphasized on income inequalities. But these inequalities can extend over many other fields like education, access to public services, health, etc. And that is why we need to bring about the spotlight that in the end of the day, it is how we set these goals for ourselves and how we perceive these goals determine the way we look at equality and inequality as a whole. Coming to goal 11, sustainable cities and communities. Divine nature gave the fields, human arts build the cities, as quoted by Marcus Terentius Varro. We have been living. We have been living since forever. But what defines living? Is it being able to satisfy only our basic needs, fill our stomachs, and quench our thirst? Or is it a more extensive meaning where we progress and develop without considering our very basic roots, the environment? Is living truly friendly in today's world, at least from the perspective of nature? That is why we have SDG 11. The goal statement is to make cities and human settlements inclusive, safe, resilient, and what's the word? Sustainable. SDG 11 has 10 targets to be achieved and thus is being measured with 15 separate indicators. Now, before I conclude, I want all of you to think about this. What is the use of a house if you don't have a decent planet to put it on? As quoted by Henry David Thoreau. Now, without taking any further time, I would like to shift the floor to Weber. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Aryan. A very good morning to one and all. I will be leading you all through the SDGs 12 to 17. SDG number 12, Sustainable Consumption and Production. Infinite growth of material consumption in a finite world is an impossibility. Isn't this quote so very true? I mean, just think and reflect. Our planet has provided us with an abundance of natural resources. But the question arises, have we used these resources responsibly? According to me, I would say no. We have not utilized these resources responsibly and currently consume far beyond than what our planet can provide. We must learn how to use and produce in sustainable ways that will reverse or at least reduce the harm that we've inflicted on our planet. Sustainable consumption and production does exactly that, as it aims at doing more and better with less. To ensure sustainable consumption and production practices, it necessarily entails to respect the biophysical boundaries of the planet and to reduce the current global consumption rates to fit with the biophysical capacity to produce ecosystem services and benefits. It has various uses too. For example, sustainable consumption and production can contribute substantially to poverty alleviation and the transition towards low carbon and green economies. Moving on, SDG number 13, climate action. Now, there was this very common message that I went through recently, and I would actually like to share it with all of you. It said that humans are the only creatures on Earth that will cut down a message, cut down into a tree, turn it into a paper, and then write save trees on it. Now, how was the message? Funny? I would say yes, it was funny, and probably that was the reason why it went viral. But there was a very deep message hidden within it. It was how we will be the reason for our decline on this planet. Climate change is a real and undeniable threat to our entire civilization. The effects are already visible and will be catastrophic unless we act now. Through education and innovation, we can make the necessary changes to protect our planet. These changes also provide huge opportunities to modernize our infrastructure, which will create new jobs and promote greater prosperity across the globe. Climate action in short means stepped up efforts to reduce the greenhouse emissions and strengthen resilience and adaptive capacity to climate-induced impacts, including the climate-related hazards in all countries, integrating climate change measures into national policies, strategies, and many more. The health of human beings is also affected by climate change, either directly or indirectly. Directly through changing weather patterns, and indirectly through changes in water, air, food, ecosystems, livelihoods, and infrastructure, just to name a few. Moving on to SDG number 14, life below water. Now, how often do we remember that the water cycle and the life cycle are one? I would say that we all know that, but the real question that arises is, how many of us ensure that it is being followed? Healthy oceans and seas are essential to our existence. They cover 70% of our planet and we rely on them for food, energy and water. Yet, we've managed to do tremendous damage to these precious resources. Now, we must start protecting them by eliminating pollution and overfishing and immediately start to responsibly manage and protect all marine life across the world. The ocean drives global systems that make the earth habitable for humankind. Our rainwater, our drinking water, weather, climate, and even the oxygen in the air that we breathe, they're all ultimately provided and regulated by the sea. Careful management of this essential global resource is a key feature of a sustainable future. Saving our ocean must remain a priority. Marine biodiversity is critical to the health of the people and also our planet. Moving on to SDG number 15, life on land. Look after the land and the land will look after you. Destroy the land and the land will destroy you. So, after listening to this quote, just think, at what stage are we? Looking after the land or destroying the land? Do think over this question and you will realize at what stage we actually are. A flourishing life on land is the foundation for our life on this planet. We are all part of the planet's ecosystem and we have yet managed to cause severe damage to it through deforestation, loss of natural habitats and land degradation. Promoting a sustainable use of our ecosystems and preserving biodiversity, it is not a cause, it is the key to our very own survival. The SDG number 15 aims to conserve all forms of life on land, from humans to each and every insect. Now, here are a few ways by which we can use this. Firstly, end deforestation and restore degraded forests. Second, ensure conservation of mountain ecosystems. Third, protect biodiversity and natural habitats. And fourth, eliminate poaching and trafficking of protected species. Moving on to SDG number 16, peace, justice and social institutions. Compassion and a strong moral compass are essential to every democratic society. Yet, persecution, injustice, and abuse still runs rampant and is tearing at the very fabric of civilization. We must ensure that we have strong institutions, global standards of justice, and a commitment to peace everywhere. The 16th SDG aims to build strong and just institutions in support of peaceful and inclusive societies around the world by 2030, notably by promoting the rule of law, transparency, accountability, good governance, and non-discrimination at all levels of the government, ensuring equal access to justice for all and protecting everyone's fundamental freedoms, significantly reducing violent deaths, torture, abuse, exploitation, discrimination, human trafficking, corruption, and organized crime, just to name a few. In short, significantly reducing all forms of violence and promoting peace. Now moving on to the last SDG, number 17, partnership for the goals. Coming together is the beginning, staying together is progress, and working together is success. I would say that the entire universe runs on this very principle. Similarly, the global goals can only be met if we work together, hand in hand. International investments and support are needed to ensure innovative technological development, fair trade and market access, especially for the developing countries. To build a better world, we need to be supportive, empathetic, inventive, passionate, and above all, cooperative. Promoting international trade and helping developing countries increase their exports is all part of achieving a universal rules-based and equitable trading system that is fair and open and benefits all. Strengthening global solidarity is one of the 17 global goals that make up the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. An integrated approach is crucial for progress across the multiple goals. The Sustainable Development Goals, or the SDGs, can only be realized with a strong commitment to global partnership and cooperation. Coordinating policies to help developing countries manage their debt, as well as promoting investment for the least developed, is vital to achieve sustainable growth and development. I would now like to call upon Siddharth to take us all forward.
A very good morning to everyone. I am Siddharth and I am here with Ayush to shed some light on the environmental practices we follow at our school to promote the United Nations devised Sustainable Development Goals to make Earth a better, greener place. The Deva Conservation Program contributes to the environmental challenges faced by the planet by raising awareness levels about the ways to reduce wastage and conserve electricity and water, bringing us one step closer to Goal 6, clean water and sanitization, and Goal 7, affordable and clean energy, to ensure access to affordable, reliable, and sustainable energy for all. Design the future is a challenge for young minds to provide innovative ideas to global issues, subsequently truly fulfilling their role as the final piece to the puzzle of the 21st century. This enables them to build resilient infrastructures, promote inclusive and sustainable industrialization, and foster innovation. That is, Goal 9, Industry, Innovation, and Infrastructure. Ayush, we take it forward.
Our next goal Our next practices deal with the goals 13, 14, and 15. Climate action, life below water, and life on land. It is what our school started in 2011 as the recycling of cans, slowly taking steps forward, adding the recycling of paper, plastic, and mobile phones in the following years. Recycling campaigns have ultimately resulted in the promotion of thoughtful disposal of waste and wise use of articles that were not required. We always believe in conservation as a very fundamental commodity to preserving the environment. And this is why we started off with water and electricity conservation. These included various workshops involving students that came forward with mundane ideas to conserve the same. We believe that our own always keeps innovating, and we have always reached the threshold of what we could do to conserve water and electricity. We introduced the litter-free classroom program, a program where the classes were graded on basis of comprehensive rubric of energy efficiency, classroom tidiness, and their ambience. This overall promoted the SDG goal number 7 and 12, affordable and clean energy, and responsible consumption and production. This showed a tremendous increase in energy efficiency and overall increase in the ambience of the school.
We may be introducing these goals as new concepts, but I can assure you that these goals have been able to seep into your studies for sure. We've all been learning about things like water harvesting, renewable energy, or even hydrogen as a fuel.
For decades, the school has been consistently pioneering the standards to provide us with quality education as per goal number 4 and for a greener school, which we hope to do so in the next few decades as well. The result, you ask? A greener future filled with educated Homo sapiens who believe in just one cause, the green school. I now hand over the stage to Partha to conclude our today's session.
Thank you, Ayush. We do not inherit Earth from our ancestors, we borrow it from our children. Keeping this Native American proverb in mind, I would like to conclude by saying that the current development upheld shouldn't be pernicious to our descendants. Remember, as the future of the generation, we must keep in mind our validity in the face of sustainable development and thus support in multifarious activities that ensure Earth's immortality. Thank you for being a patient audience. Your support means the world to us. Now, I would like to call upon Ms. Bindu Manoj Kumar, our supervisor for teaching and learning and LSDP facilitator, to address the gathering. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Partha. Happy morning to all. It is a pleasure to have all of you on board to hear our young, passionate leaders present to you the UNESCO SDG module, which is here to stay at our own. What attracted the team and personally me was the slogan of SDG, leave no one behind. Yes, leave no one behind is the motto of the Sustainable Development Goals. It is also the guiding principle for our work towards an inclusive society. The Sustainable Development Goals defines the world you want, we all want. They apply to all nations and means quite simply to ensure that no one is left behind. It is a global and comprehensive framework of action for development and against poverty, inequality, and climate change. So why should you be part of this? To understand this, let us quickly look at the advantages. First and foremost, it helps to ensure a bright future for the future generation, and that is you, my dear students. 2, it helps in the sustainable management of means and resources. 3, it focuses on the environment conservation. 4, it helps in acquisition, mobilization, and conservation of means and resources. It pays attention in the justifiable distribution of means and resources. It checks the trends of excessive use of resources. It helps to achieve higher and wider economic growth. It gives priority to the use and promotion of resources that can be recycled, reused, and renewed, and much, much more. Let me end with what Gandhiji rightly said. The world has enough for everyone's need, but not everyone's greed. So my dear students out there, remember, you are the change makers of today, and key to make a difference, not only for you, but for the generation to come. As the first step towards it, what you need to do is grab the opportunities the school has planned around SDG, which will be soon briefed to you by your teachers, and you can see it unfold in the projects assigned to you. Your supervisor will be providing a link of the form for which you need to fill your feedback and let us know your innovative ideas on how best we can implement it at our school. Have a wonderful day. Now I call upon our respective principal, Dr. Anjali Murthy, who has been very passionate about this program being implemented in our school. Over to you, ma'am. Anjali, ma'am.
Good morning, children. Miss Bindu, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am, we can hear you.
All right.
Thank you.
Sorry for the delay, children. We'll never be as tech savvy as you are. So that was a little bit of a glitch, probably joined from the wrong link. You know, children, today you've been, you know,
Why there is obstruction? You can hear?
So, you know, today, children, you've been our teachers. We have been your students because the way you have conveyed the message of the Sustainable Development Goals, you made it so relatable. Now, why is it that I have been so passionate about this? It's some statements made by young children like you that, you know, you're damaging our planet, and is this what you're going to leave for us? And that somewhere had an impact on me. And I said, the United Nations is talking about goals to be accomplished by 2030. And how much time is that? So I started actually looking into SDG last year. Before that, honestly speaking, I had not looked into it. And when I started looking into it, I said, very little time left to achieve these goals. And the best way to take it forward is through children, because really speaking, you are the ones who are going to be in the workplace in just 2 years. Why am I saying in the workplace? Because then you will become policy makers. You may say that, okay, in the next 5 years after I graduate from college, I go into the job market, I may be at a junior level, and what changes can I bring about? But let's link it to what the student leaders spoke about, what's happening at our own. From 2011, the school has been consciously promoting environmental awareness. So it's never too early or never too late to begin. So you all have already been exposed to the need for environmental conservation, and that's been pretty well ingrained in the children of our own right from a young age. But now that we have these 17 goals, children, look at them more carefully. You are the ones who can make it happen. You know, the teachers do so much. They have a curriculum which they have to transact. The teachers have certain norms in terms of how they deliver the curriculum. They have the notebook work, they have the CBSE guidelines. And what I want to see at our own is that SDG is completely student driven. What are those type of projects that children in grade 2, for example, should do, or in grade 3 should do? You all have been doing a wonderful job. I've been listening to Ms. Bindu Manoj Kumar for the past 1.5, 2 months that I've been here. And your initiative to start design thinking, Minecraft, all of this is actually in a way, in some way or the other, linked to SDG. Because I remember when I always narrate something from my own experience as a student, what I can recall. I remember as a young student of economics, when the Green Revolution was taking place, there was a lot of protest in India that what's going to happen to the farmers if machines are going to take over agriculture, what's going to happen to the farmers, because 80% of the Indian population depends on agriculture for its livelihood. And the visionaries, the economists at that time rightly said that when one job becomes less in demand, other jobs will be created. And the same thing would happen today. For example, I read a news headline today that many of the bank branches in the UAE are closing down because of the technology coming in. And yes, that's alarming because you think, oh my God, the moment you hear of something shutting down, the immediate thinking in our minds is so many people are going to lose their jobs. May happen in the short run, will impact people who lose their jobs, but at the same time, there are a number of other jobs that are being created. And the same thing when you look at it, and I studied the Sustainable Development Goals pretty deeply in the last summer. I was reading through each and every one of the sub-targets of SDG, and there's so much that is visionary in that, so much that's happening. And if you look at it and you look at UAE as a model, you'll just see the amount that UAE has been focusing on these SDGs. There's one thing where UAE lags behind, and that is the amount of wastage that happens in the UAE. So just one, there might be others, because we have plastic bags, we have carry away food, whatever. We have wastage of food, too much plastic consumption. So look at all that, children, and we want you to really be our teachers in how we can take this forward further. So what have you done? You've done step 1. You are creating the awareness. So this is, if I want to classify step 1, it has to be in 2 parts. 1A, awareness. 1B, deeper awareness of the SDG goals. Step 2, action. If we are aware, what is that action that we can take? Can it be just actual action? Can it be action research? So again, 2A, 2B, action that can be taken or action research. And the third one, can we measure the impact of, if it's an action, what is the actual impact? If it's action research, what is going to be the intended impact of that research. So I always think of it in very simple steps, but you are the real think tank of the school children. Thank you for taking this forward, and we do look forward to seeing SDG being embedded in every child and every teacher of our own in the next few months, definitely in the next year. Thank you, Ms. Bindu, for being such a wonderful mentor for our children. The children of our own have always been absolutely innovative driven, and your mentorship is just giving them more and more platforms to do so much for the children of the school. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Boys, please come on camera. I know you all have put in a lot of effort. Those who were presenting, please come on camera.
It was beautiful. It was really lovely, very professional. The way you packaged it and your own individual input to it, very, very, very lovely.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you, audience. Now, students, in the chat, we have put up the feedback link. If you could just put in your suggestions there, it would really help. And thank you so much. Have a beautiful day, all of you. Thank you, Anjali, ma'am.
Thank you.